Hey guys, welcome to the Master Wing channel. Today we're going to go over a rarely talked about group of birds in Wingspan entitled the Swift Start Pack. The Swift Start Pack was a group of birds included in the newer editions of the Wingspan base game, or you can even buy them now as a promo pack on the Stonemaier Games website. It included 10 cards to help beginners understand how to play and grasp the flow of the game. They're identified by a small gray marking in the corner of the card. There was a playthrough guide in the Wingspan instructions that told the player where and how to play them. With the recent Asia expansion adding about 90 more cards to the existing Wingspan deck, this Swift Start Pack is just 10 cards out of the total 446. And since these cards are just 2% of the total, I thought it'd be worthwhile to shed some light on these beginner birds. While doing so, we're going to rank these birds just for fun and give my opinion on which Swift Start bird is the best. Maybe you can guess who's number one already. My preface for this list is that just because I'm ranking the Swift Start Pack from worst to best doesn't mean they're the absolute worst or best Wingspan card overall. In varying situations, they all have viability. And on top of that, they all serve their purpose in the Quick Start Guide. They help the newcomer learn how to play. But since these 10 were suggested to use in the beginning of your Wingspan career, why not rate them? How good are these cards outside of the Quick Start Guide? That's what I'd like to narrow down. So without further ado, let's check out my rankings and see what you think. At number 10, we've got the Broad-Winged Hawk. If you are just opening the Wingspan box for the first time, this card looks cool. Who doesn't want a flying hawk with a skull and crossbones in their forest? But as you play and see more and more cards, you will find out there is a vast number of better forest options you can receive. Its brown power doesn't give you more food, eggs, or cards. It's focused on getting rats cached, aka more points. But it normally does a terrible job at that. Rolling a rat using dice outside of the bird feeder is a pretty low percentage, and having played Wingspan for a couple years now, I am surprised they chose this bird to be a part of the Swift Start Pack. Because other than being cheap to play, it doesn't give you a jump start with resources. That's my take for number 10. At number 9, we have the Scaled Quail. Its brown power simply lets you lay an extra egg on the card. Quails in this game notoriously have high egg capacities, so if you're struggling to find a grassland bird, or this card can help you win the end of round goal, by all means, play this card and get that extra egg space. I've played this bird several times without regret, but honestly, there's a lot of other 1 food cost birds with better brown powers that can go in that precious first slot in your grassland. You will see that round 1 egg laying isn't normally a huge priority since there are already 3 egg-free spaces on your board. On top of that, it can be a tough pill to swallow playing a 0-point bird in the later rounds for a negative play, and that's why the Scaled Quail hangs out at number 9 for me. At number 8, we have the Vose Swift. It beats the Quail because you can score a point and gain a worm. It's 2 points instead of 0, and maybe with the Food Web Expert bonus card, it's slightly more valuable. You know, it makes sense to put a Swift species in a Swift Start Pack, but this card goes near the bottom of our rankings due to the fact that you have to have an extra card to take advantage of that brown power. In the beginning of the game, you don't always have an extra card to tuck, and there are so many other food-gaining forest birds that do not require you to have an extra card. So sometimes I find myself having to skip this brown power because I wanted the food from the forest activation, but I didn't want to get rid of the cards I had. Honestly, I was a little surprised to see this bird in the Swift Start Pack as well. It doesn't mean the Vose Swift is useless, but I often see this play as a last resort in round 1 rather than my first option, which is why I place it near the bottom at number 8. At number 7, we've got the Painted White Start. We're moving up from the bottom, and I really do like the painted white start. Its power is very straightforward and reliable. One worm, easy to play, advances your forest while giving you extra food. This is the first card in this list that I think deserves the Swift Start title. The white start brown power easily beats the previous 3 cards we went over, which is why I stick it at number 7. At number 6, we've got the black-chinned hummingbird. The reason it's number 6 in my opinion is that its brown power can let the player receive a berry in any of the habitats. It is simply a flexible card you could play anywhere, and you can have any type of food to play it. There might be some debate with this hummingbird since it only gives berries and it can help your opponent. I know some players who avoid hummingbirds at all cost and really love it when the opponent picks it up to give them free resources. But the ease of playing this card and advancing your board definitely represents a swift start to me. There just happens to be 5 other birds in this list that edge it out with their power. At number 5, we've got the Canvasback. Another pretty straightforward power. All players draw 1 from the deck. Play this bird in the wetlands and you're already going to receive 2 cards for yourself without having to advance your wetlands to the second spot. As you play more Wingspan, I think you will find that card draw is crucial in the vast majority of games. If you can't cycle through the deck or pick up anything good, it is very tough to win consistently. And even though it gives cards to other players, it's the only bird in this list with a star nest that can come in handy for end-of-round goals or bonus cards. That's why the Canvasback gets number 5 for me. At number 4, we have the white-throated swift. This is the only bird in this list that I utilize more outside of round 1. It's also the only bird in the Swift Start Pack that I believe is a good point scorer. The hawk and the quail can score you a point, as well as the Vose Swift, but this bird turns 1 extra card into 2 points, since you get to lay an egg on any bird you want after the tuck. Not many complaints here, other than only 2 egg space. You could technically lay eggs in round 1, tuck the extra card, and have nowhere to put the extra egg, but I still think it's a solid number 4 with its point scoring capability. Alright, we're getting to the top 3. At number 3, we have the American Redstart. The Redstart beats the previous 7 birds in this list because of its brown power. Along with the 4 points, gain 1 food from the tray, and it doesn't limit which type of food you can grab. The other 3 food-grabbing birds in this list limited you to a berry or a worm. As you know, many cards in Wingspan let you obtain extra food, but the American Redstart gives you reliability to always obtain a resource. There is no if available statement like some of the other forest birds in the game. And if you ever play with Nectar in the Oceania expansion, the card only gets more valuable. It's not a flashy power, but it definitely comes in handy setting up your forest and the best forest option in this list. An easy number 3 for me. At number 2, we have the Redbreasted Mergancer. I've already mentioned the importance of early game card draw, but the fact you can grab 2 cards from the tray or the deck gives the Mergancer the edge over the Canvasback and many other birds that only let you grab 1 card. Sure, you only get to keep 1 of the 2 cards you drew, but if this is the only bird in your wetlands, by spending an extra egg, you could see 4 cards in 1 action with just 1 bird. I'll say it again, 1 draw action, and with an extra egg, you see 4 cards. That's fantastic. I think it's a really great number 2 in the Swift Start Pack, and still good outside of this list. At number 1, we've got the Brant. Maybe you guessed it, maybe you didn't, but this card isn't just some Swift Start bird. It is the Swift Start bird. Play it for 3 points and grab all 3 birds from the tray. Are you kidding me? I know there's a few birds out there like the Carolina Wren, the Oyster Catcher, the Killdeer, and others in the expansions that let you see or grab more cards. But 3? And you get to keep all of them? This card can be devastating to your opponent and totally disrupt their plan while kickstarting your round 1. I often go second in Wingspan games, and when I see two good birds in the tray, I think to myself, well, at least I'll get one of them. And then the Brant flops down and completely ruins my original strategy. You could also keep it in your back pocket for round 2 or 3 when there's a better tray to grab or deny cards from your opponent. You can hardly ever have too many cards in round 1, and after the Brant play, you could even synchronize with the other birds in this list like the Vose Swift, White-throated Swift, or simply discard them for more food. The possibilities are vast. It is the ultimate game-changing bird in the Swift Start Pack and the well-deserved number 1. Now that we've reached the end of the rankings, I am interested to read your opinion on what your number 1 Swift Start bird is. Do you agree with the Brant? Or are there any other birds in the Swift Start Pack you would have switched? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to support this channel. And if you like this video, you might want to check out my underrated series where I highlight some birds that need more attention. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.